My name is Guanghua, and my paper's name is Research on Test Communication Security based on Deep Learning Model. And my report have 4 sections. The first one is about the paper, and the second one is technical international. The third is the system design, and the fourth is results and conclusion. Now, the part 1. About the paper. In response to current spam flooding problem, this paper uses Python language machine learning and natural language processing technology to study the identification, classification of spam messages. The GBA algorithm is used to distinguish the Chinese word, and the HeiHe algorithm is used to conduct feature extraction on the basis of the analysis of the classifier algorithm and the experimental data to finalize. The results show that the classification effect of the polynomial plane basis classifier is optimal, and the identification of garbage text is best optimized. And we know with the wide application of social media, text message service has developed rapidly. At the same time, a large number of drug information and fraud information are added to it, which brings different degrees of harassment and serious security risks to people's lives, and as unstable factors to the development of a harmonious society. Therefore, the use of information technology to establish the ability to identify, correct, and deal with spam test information is particularly important. In this paper, the deep learning algorithm and Python language are used to identify and classify spam test messages. GBA Chinese word segmentation tool and HeiHe feature extraction are used to analyze the principles of naive-Bayes, Gaussian distribution, random forest, and other classifier algorithms. Finally, according to the experimental data, the classification effect is compared. And the second one, part 2, technology introduction. First, the Chinese participant. In text-based meaning, word or phrase is usually used as a feature to segment words. Therefore, we need to extract the original text data by word segmentation to obtain the corresponding feature list before text classification and feature extraction. Therefore, high accuracy of text segmentation has a great impact on the subsequent text analysis and text classification. At present, English and Chinese are the main text segmentation methods. Due to the different grammatical structures, the two languages have different word segmentation methods. However, English word segmentation is much easier than Chinese word segmentation, in practical point, because Chinese word results and punctuation are relatively clear, while Chinese text is relatively vague. vague. This paper uses Chinese text and uses Jeba Chinese word segmentation to segment Chinese text. Yeah. And the construction principle of directed ACK-less phrase based on prefix dictionary is shown in figure 2.1. Yeah. From figure 1, we can see there are 3 ways to divide HeiHe to HeiHe and HeiHe to HeiHe. And HeiHe College will for Go. Go in Chinese name is Qu. There are only one way to divide Qu. The reason is that the word Qu has no prefix. Similarly, the combination of Xue is study and play can be obtained. Based on this, a directed ACK-less phrase is constructed. And 2, feature representation and extraction of test date. TF-IDF algorithm is used to express and extract test date features. That is the frequency of a word appearing in text, because word frequency has a great influence on the classification of original test date. The greater the word frequency of a word, the greater is contribution to test recognition. The frequency of word is shown as 2.4. And 3 is segmentation of training set and test set. The paper uses train test split method of screen model sections is used to segment the date according to 75% and 25% segment ratio. The test date is divided into training date set and test date set. The part 3, native Basin recognition model. Firstly, the test date is extracted and then probability belonging to the feature value is calculated according to the obtained probability. The Basin formula is used to calculate the posterior probability. The follow chart of native Basin and algorithm is shown in figure 3.1. And 3.1 is follow chart of native Basin algorithm. And the same space of test E is omega. Suppose that B1, B2, and Bn is a partition of omega. A is an event of R, and PA is PA and PB and greater than 0, then the Basin formula is expressed as 3.1. As formula 3.1. And part 4, experimental and result analysis. The Wiki Chinese corpus used for test date contains 863,000 Chinese tests. There are more than 80,000 pieces of data belonging to spam SMS category, accounting for 10% of the total number of data. There are more than 720,000 pieces of data belonging to normal SMS category, accounting for 90% of total number of data. The data format is shown in table 4.1. Yes, this table. 75% of data is used as training data set, and 25% of the data is used as test data set after randomly scrambling the data. Then segmented training data to training various classifiers, and then the trained classifier is used to predict the test data. The prediction results are compared with the actual results, and the classification accuracy of the classifier is obtained. The performance report is generated by B function in A, and the learning curve analysis is constructed when the model parameters are determined. The training speed is shown in figure 4.4. This figure, learning curve. And results and conclusion. The classification model trained by the trained data set and the test data are used to predict the results. The performance reports generated are shown in table 4.2 and table 4.3. Because of the computational power, 10,074 data are selected for model training. From the data in table 4.2 and table 4.3, it can be seen that 10,074 data sets are used as raw data, and then the original data sets are divided into training data sets according to 75% of the comparison columns, and 25% of the comparison columns divide the original data set into test data sets, and accuracy of native Basin classifier reaches 93%. If the calculation first allows, the accuracy of native Basin classifiers can reach 93% according to the actual situation. The training data set and the test data set data can be important to some extent. And finally, the conclusion. This is a social problem that spam SM flooding has always plagued people's life. In according to effectively identify the spam messages, this paper proposes to use naive-Bayes model to train samples from wiki Chinese corpus to a certain extent. It solves the problems of surprise date, high dimension, and different modeling of semantic relationship between words. However, when the number of features in the text is large, or the correction between the features is large, the classification effect has some limitations. At the same time, the superior probability needs to be known in the prediction, and the calculation of the superior probability depends on the assumptions of model, which increases the difficulty of prediction efficiency. Therefore, further research should be done to improve data classification and efficiency. And so much for this. Thank you.